Take a look at this. The WWF Wrestling Arcade game. This is actually not the one you're thinking of, though. This is a shooting arcade. It's kind of weird. It's pretty neat how it works, and kind of macabre as well. We're going to talk all about it. First, I wanted to tell you the history of this device. This was made by the Helm Toy Company. They were located out of Miami. They were around from 1989, I think, to 1993, somewhere in that range. And this was probably produced in 1990 or 1991 because it features Macho King Randy Savage. Wrestlecrap did a review of this. If you don't know Wrestlecrap, they are one of the early wrestling fan sites on the internet. They've been around forever. R.D. Reynolds is the guy who runs it, and he does a bunch of things, reviews bad gimmicks and events from the past, but also reviews bad toys and things, does the section, someone bought this, and so he reviewed it. He talked about how he didn't like having to shoot his friend Earthquake, which we'll talk about Earthquake in a little bit. Helm Toy did make other versions. They had a Ninja Turtles version. In that one, you're not shooting like this one, you're actually shooting Hulk Hogan, which is kind of weird. In that one, you're not shooting like Raphael, but you are shooting all the bad guys. So that makes more sense. Except for that, I don't think the Ninja Turtles would do that. I don't think there's like, I just can't imagine Donatello being like, fine, I've had enough. Helm Toy produced a lot of licensed products, a lot of Mickey Mouse things, a lot of other toys with characters on them. The only other shooting gallery I was able to find is this one, which I don't think is licensed. It says Strike Force Alpha, but I think that's just like a generic, Chuck Norris, Rambo kind of thing. There was a WWF tag team called Strike Force.
And we're going to be striking with force, baby!
Which was Tito Santana and Rick Martel, and that was after Tom Zink left, because first they were the Can-Am Connection, because they were Canadian and American, and then the Canadian joined up with Tito Santana, which Jesse Ventura said should have been called the Mexican Connection.
Wait a minute, what is this name? Strike Force?
Yes.
Why don't they call it the Mexican Connection?
Yes.
Mexican, Canadian, I gotta spill that out so Bruno can understand it. Get it, Bruno?
We're gonna go through all the wrestlers featured on the side art, just to give you a little nostalgia for these guys. First up, we've got Bobby the Brain Heenan. I love this guy, the host of my favorite wrestling show, Primetime Wrestling. Him and Gorilla Monsoon sitting at a desk, just throwing to old matches that were recorded at house shows that were usually very slow matches, which I like because I love listening to the commentators when they would tell stories and stuff in the old days. It was just great. Like you'd hear Gorilla Monsoon and Lord Alfred Hayes start talking about, wrestling a show in England in 1978 or whatever, because there's a rest hold going on in the Kamala, jobber match that's happening. The $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. This guy was great. He had the best gimmick. He came in, he had the $1 Million title, had Virgil with him. They went and they would go to like a swimming pool and he would clear everybody out. So he had the pool all to himself, which is still gross because it was a public pool in the middle of Texas. I also love the one where the kid's got to dribble the ball and the kid's going to make it. And so then Ted DiBiase kicks that ball out at the last second. Mr. Perfect, Intercontinental Champion. I saw him lose the title to Carri Von Eric at SummerSlam 1990 at the Philadelphia Spectrum. And there he is. Everybody does the impression. Oh yeah, there's Macho King Randy Savage. The cream of the crop. He was the king for a while. This was a gimmick they used to do in wrestling. Sometimes it was the King of the Ring, which was a tournament, and the winner of the tournament at the very top would get the crown put on their head. But other times, you just had a king like King Haku, and if you beat King Haku, you were king. There he is, John Tenta. His name that he went by in the WWF was Earthquake. He was picked out of the crowd to sit on the back of Dino Bravo during a push-up contest. And he was a plant, and then he squashed, I guess, Ultimate Warrior, and it started a whole feud. He was great. He was just a big guy, wore this blue singlet. He was a young guy, but looked old, which was always good because he had that seriousness to him, even when he was a very young man. Sergeant Slaughter. This guy was everywhere in the 80s. He was like the big hero. He became a G.I. Joe figure, and then WWE had him turn, and then he fought Hulk Hogan in this match, and it was him being the Iraqi sympathizer against the all-American Hulk Hogan. And there he is, the Ultimate Warrior. I went to the last appearance he ever did because he went into the Hall of Fame, and then the next night we saw him on Monday Night Raw, so I saw him there, and then he passed away. And finally, the immortal Hulk Hogan. All right, so here is what the game looks like. So my version, I don't know if this is true of others, but mine does not have any side art on here, but it doesn't even look like somebody peeled it off. So I think the company just kind of cheaped out. It probably was, 8 cents cheaper to not put a sticker on both sides. Ultimate Warrior's face paint is weird because they painted his entire face green, which is kind of strange. Sergeant Slaughter's got skin-colored sunglasses, which not exactly right. Other than that, though, looking pretty good. This is how you would keep track. So if you wanted to keep track on a one-person game of how many points you scored, I guess you could do that. Wrestling arcade game. There's the WWF logo. There is a shot in the background there. You can see that's just a photo of like the crowd at a wrestling event. You can see a guy here wearing one of those Hulk Rules shirts with the slits in the back, so you could tear your shirt apart if you didn't care about what your parents paid money for. It says at the top here, WrestleMania. That looks like the WrestleMania 7 logo. So this would be WrestleMania 7 in the LA Sports Arena. This was the one with Sergeant Slaughter and Hulk Hogan. Interesting show. Macho Man Randy Savage had a retirement match against the Ultimate Warrior. I don't remember what Earthquake did on that show, but I would bet he was on the show at that time. It's interesting. It looks like, with this trigger, it looks like the gun would shoot the bullet out of here, but obviously it doesn't because there's plastic here. So this is kind of neat because when you aim, it really does work. Now, this should be propped up on something. Let me put something under this. All right, here we go. Couple VHS cassettes. That way you have full range of motion with the gun. And so I'm going to aim this gun over here at Earthquake. Now, the trigger's got 2 triggers. You squeeze both. There you go. Direct hit. It's pretty easy. The targets are pretty big. You can see the targets are Ultimate Warrior there, Macho King. There's a blank one in the middle that's worth 50 points. That's the hardest one to hit. Hey, there we go. 70, 80, 90, and 100, and then that brings you back to 0. Can you do me a favor? Go ahead and be like the Fonz and give this video a thumbs up. It will really help me out. Thank you. So there you have it. This is pretty cool. I like it. I counted, by the way. There are 5 BBs in here. This feels to me like something I would have gotten for Christmas from like a relative at like the day after Christmas. It's kind of like it feels like that. Like somebody that knew you liked wrestling but had no idea who your favorites were or anything. So they just were like, well, this is inexpensive and seems like it would be fun. And it is. It's the kind of thing that I feel like you'd do a double take. Like you'd open it and be like, huh, okay. I know as a kid, I got a set of WWF marbles. So it's like marbles with little wrestlers in them, and you can flick them at the other stuff and try to get the things in. There are a lot of weird wrestling products I've found over the years. I remember seeing some knockoff wrestling action figures. I had WWF bed sheets, which is pretty crazy. In a moment, there's going to be a box up on the screen here, and it will take you to a video where I show off those as well as many other wrestling collectibles, some weird stuff. I think you'll love it. Otherwise, YouTube says this is best for you. I don't know which one you want to choose. You can choose either one. I'm in both. I'll see you tomorrow at 2 o'clock. It'll be a brand new day.